just a little bit. All right, okay. So the first thing is the session will be recorded. And are there any, is there any resistance to this, to the session being recorded? It will be put up on the Psychedelic Society website and sent out with a link for people to view. So you've got a couple of options if you don't feel comfortable with that. The one is you can have your camera off, or you can just say a clear no, and we're happy to cooperate with that. It's not a have to on our side that the recording goes up. Any resistance?
Can I just ask how much personal stuff we're going to be sharing?
Yes. So you're going to be going into breakout rooms when you're sharing your personal stuff. And then there will be an opportunity to share in plenary in the main room, but you can choose that. We can also, if any of us remember, we can try and like support each other and be conscious of it. And I welcome the group just to care for the group. You can also remind us like, hey, stop recording. We cannot record any of the dialogue pieces and just record the training as well. Okay, so you really are welcome to do what feels comfortable for you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so how this session this evening is going to go, we've got an hour and a half together, and I'm going to do my best to change tack to my normal style and be make it process oriented and get you guys, I'll do as little talking as possible and get you guys playing as much as possible. So you're going to go into breakout rooms and work with a partner. You're going to have the same partner for the whole evening, and we're going to go into the breakout rooms 4 times. So you've got quite a lot of backwards and forwardsing, but hopefully it should be dynamic and exciting for you. So if anyone would like to please, just for this minute, turn on their camera and let's just welcome ourselves into the space. Thank you. And just take a look around and have a look at who's in the room with you. And because you're going to be going into breakout rooms, you can already maybe start to have a little idea like, who would I want to be in a breakout room with? Who maybe I do feel a little bit nervous about being in a breakout room with? We can start playing subtly with the idea of enemy and friend. Like, who do I feel a friendship with? And it's not a big deal, guys. Just, it's like a little play. And the only reason I like to play this is because, like, for me, when we go into breakout rooms, it's like NVC blind date. You don't know who you're going to be in a room with. So we can start to see the dynamics. Like, it's a nice surprise. Or is it, oh yeah, it's that thing again. When I get the anti, we get the opposite of what we're seeking. Okay, it's just a little play and noticing. So to begin, let's begin by sharing. The subject of this evening's session, enemy images. So I have an enemy. In fact, let me just stop sharing before I go here. So I have an enemy. I've been thinking about my own enemies before I came here, and I've got a few enemies. My one enemy is this 9-year-old boy, and he comes, you see, I like to go walking, and I've been walking in Scarborough for many, many years. I've lived here for 18 years, and I like to go walking into these wild woods, and I've done this since I was in my early or mid-20s, and I was always alone doing this. So it was always me and the wild world, and I could just daydream, and it's something that I've done, as I say, for 20 years. But now with the creep, the urban creep, and places in the deep south getting more populated, my alone time, sorry, Tamai, that's one thing I do want to say is I keep losing connectivity. I'm going to leave. Okay, all right, thanks. So in fact, I'm going to make a request. If you could keep a look with the chat, Mishka, if that's possible, because I struggle to share and look at the chat.
Yeah, I've got the chat, don't worry.
Okay, thanks. Hi, welcome, Nikki. So yeah, so this boy, comes whizzing past me in my space. And I realize as soon as I do that, I don't like it. And I don't like this boy. It's a natural thing that happens to me. And I have another enemy. She is someone that I don't want to share too many details, but basically I made a request of her to dialogue, and she said no. She didn't want a dialogue with me about to talk about something that was occurring within our relationship. And she said, no, thanks, I don't want to. And I can tell you what, now when I see her, my body contracts. I'm just not so happy to see her. So this is the beginning, can you see, of something that I would call an enemy image. And so in nonviolent communication, I know enemy is quite a strong feeling, but it's the enemy image is something we build up in our minds. And it's a little story that we tell ourselves about the other person when their action doesn't align with our needs. So, or our values. So I valued this wide open space, and then comes whizzing this little kid on a bike, whizzing past me and taking up my space. And a little thing comes in story about, oh, he shouldn't be here, whatever it is, a spoiled brat. So a little story we tell ourselves about someone else. And at the base of that story is the idea that someone is not worthy of love and understanding, because we disconnect our love from that person. So this is I don't know if you know the Twits. It's such a lovely story of how enemy images can be fun, just like my little enemy with this little guy on the bicycle. It's a fun little story about an enemy. It's not too serious about an enemy, but sorry, I'm getting confused here. What are you seeing? The Twits. Dear people, what can someone share with me what is on your screen?
We can see the Twits.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. Okay, so this is such a cute little story. I mean, we can have humor with enemies. There's a little quote from Roald Dahl's story, The Twits. The reason for this is quite simple. Mr. and Mrs. Twit do not like other people. They don't even like each other. In fact, the list of things the Twits do not like is extremely long. It includes other people being looked at by other people, talking to other people living next door to them. It includes each other, and it includes washing. So that's a humorous little story of how the Twits have created stories about each other and these long-term resentments, and they create, and it's a way we disconnect our love and our sense of care for the other person. So the first thing I would like you to do is I'm going to put you into breakout rooms, and I would like you to play. And I would like you just to come up with your own stories of your own enemies. So it can be, I don't like because, so-and-so because, and someone who they shouldn't, or they always, or they never, and you don't like them. And you can even really let your inner child out and kind of get into the baddies and goodies story. Like, oh, I don't like the people who buy big houses and then build concrete all the way up to the edge. They are the baddies. I don't like it. Okay, so you're going to go and just play in your breakout rooms to explore who are you building up little stories about that are enemies. Now, do you have any questions? Is this clear?
So can it be not necessarily a single person?
Yeah, it can even be yourself and your behavior. And I would say, I don't know if you saw on the slide, I said, don't choose like something very traumatic or very serious right now. just because we're in a short time and we won't be able to hold it. So choose something mild and choose something playful. So on the serious scale of 1 to 10, make it around about a 3, quite simple. But basically, you're looking for stories that you build up, telling yourself that the other is, you don't like what the other does. They shouldn't be doing what they are doing. You don't like it. Do you remember when we were children, like children play cops and robbers, and they've got no problem like being free with thinking someone's bad, and I don't like someone who does this, and like they're my enemy, and grr. We like looking for that energy because we just want to play with it right now. But we're going to get into the more serious nuts and bolts of it. So does someone want to give me an example if they're unsure of something that they could choose? And it doesn't have to be one thing, just go, like just let it out. Yeah, does anyone have an idea? So let's see if you're on the right track.
I can share something.
Yeah.
So, yes, I've actually been struggling with this a lot in my life. I feel like I make stories about enemies a lot, and then I'm like, why? So the one example is a girl that knew a friend of mine's son many years ago, and something happened that wasn't good between them. And recently she's entered similar friend circles as me, and I've started to see that she's not actually this person that I created in my mind, this terrible person. And there's actually so many similarities, but because of the conditioning I had, I kind of pushed her away, and now I kind of want to connect with her, but it's weird
Okay.
because I've created this weird energy
Okay.
between us that was my own creation in my
So you're
mind.
starting to break down that concept, but this girl. And just to say, because we do need to just share something about confidentiality. So this is a private space, and can we make an agreement that whatever we share in the space stays in this space? All right, we're choosing, when you go into these breakout rooms, the person that you are sharing with, they're going to choose to share with you in this time and in this moment. And they're not choosing to share it with your friends or with your husband later on this evening. So can we make that agreement for consent to just be fully in confidentiality? Thank you. So Charmaine, that's a perfect example. So when you go into your breakout room, you can just share that with all the energy. Just let your it's called enjoying the jackal show in nonviolent communication. It means enjoying the judgments. So just start throwing out all the things that, and even if it's positive things. Now, what I wanted to share about confidentiality, you can use false names for this. You don't have to share, you can play with this. It doesn't have to be so serious. We're just working with the concept of enemy. Okay, so that's a perfect example. And you can, guys, and girls, you can use 3 examples, 4 examples. You're going to have 3 minutes each to just share. And at this stage, we are just sharing about the judgments we have. We're just sharing about why they are the enemy. And we are giving ourselves full freedom to let our inner judge, our inner child out, to really decide what's wrong and bad about these people. Okay. Is that clear? 3 minutes. Then I'll send you I'll send you a message to say switch over, and then you will be called back and the rooms will be closed. Okay. All right. So
Jacqueline, I have a question just before we go into the breakout rooms.
Yes.
Could you let us know again those sentences?
Yes, I'll put them in the chat for you.
Great. Thank you.
But for now, they are, I don't like because they shouldn't, they always, they never, or he shouldn't, he always, he never. And if you want to really like be playful with it, the baddies, they are the baddies because. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, pleasure. So I'm just going to start hoeing you in breakout rooms. So get ready for NVC blind date. How was? Thank you. How was that? Did you have some fun? Was it easy?
Felt really good to just be free to not like things and express
can
that and
come
be
in
witness
there,
to that and
if I
hear
may.
other people also just not
Is it
liking
okay to
things.
come in?
Huh?
Anyone hearing
I
me?
think, there we go. I think that was.
Yeah. Well, yes, that's all.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it can be really liberating not to have to monitor yourself. Yes, okay, celebrating that. Anyone else? And did you get to like really like judge the other person and so it could have really like, yeah, okay, good. Right, let's move on then. Now we've done the first step. We've enjoyed the Jackal show. We've been honest. We've been honest in the way that comes naturally, let's say, or comes habitually. We could say, this is just how the honesty flows from us. Yeah. But there's a little thing about being honest in this way. Did you notice, everybody, and you're welcome to share, just speak into the microphone. Did you notice that your thinking, when you just sort of freely judge someone, that your thinking holds a particular quality of good and bad and right and wrong? So the other is bad, or I am bad, the other is right, I was wrong, something like this. Was this, because this is what judgmental thinking generally tends to do. The mind loves to structure thought in terms of good and bad and right and wrong. So they shouldn't have done this and they're bad. And the only problem with this thinking is we kind of label people. We form these ideas, this little image we have. So for the person who didn't want to dialogue with me, now I've got some label about them. They're that type of person. And I put them somewhere there. And just all of you, if you imagine one of your judgments about how you're labeling this person, what you might call this person, just imagine it now in your bodies and tell me where the energy is. Just give me a, shout it into the microphone. If anyone can connect, like when I think, oh, they're this type of person. Where do you feel the energy?
In my tense head.
Yeah, you feel it in your head.
I feel it in my belly.
Feel it in your belly. Yeah, so let's just take note. There seems to be this like fixed thing. And the problem with this is it kind of locks us into a either or kind of thinking. It doesn't give us a lot of scope to explore and connect with the other person where they are. So we kind of build a story around the world and we're co-creating this world together. And the story about how the world is with this other enemy, this person, when we fix them in this type of thinking, the world we're creating just has a little bit less love because of the story we're holding about the other person. Okay, so now we're going to begin the process of exiting the story. So you're going to go back into the same breakout rooms and you're going to choose, if you only had one example, then you're going to use that example. But whatever example you did, so I would like you to figure out exactly what did this person do. And then notice where your energy is when you think about it. Now, J. Krishnamurti says the ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. So very often, the enemy is formed in our minds, in our thinking. We see what someone does, and then we tell ourselves a story that this is a bad thing that they did and we don't like it. And the story begins in our mind. And what I would like you to do is take a step back from the story that you're telling about them, because there's a whole big story there, and figure out exactly what the person did. And if they did a whole lot of things, choose one thing that they did. Okay, you're going to go into breakout rooms and you're going to try and discover what actually is the one thing that this person did. And we're going to separate and see if you can win the prize for not linking thoughts to it. So, they rejected me. They abandoned me. They betrayed me. Do you see how there's some thought mixed into this, my idea of what happened? What did someone who rejected me do? She said, no, I don't want to dialogue with you. In my head, a whole story comes. Oh, she rejected me. She abandoned me. What she actually did was say, no, thank you. It's very different. So, back into the same breakout rooms, and you're going to discover one thing that the person did. Yes, Tandy.
Is this our reaction, as in our perception of what they did, or the reality of what they did? Because
very good. So so if you see, observe without thought. So much conflict happens, and enemies are formed not because of what someone does, but because of the story we say about it. So your job is to try and detangle the story, yourself from the story. Can you give me your example? Do you want to turn off the recording for this? Okay. Come on. Sorry. Yeah, I think we can maybe like put you into 2 as well. So did you say that you did get to it, or you needed more time?
Well, we had 2 of the 3. So in
Okay.
that
Okay,
sense,
and that's what
we
you
have
did.
enough time.
All right. Would you like to do the third one live here?
That depends on this third one.
Yeah, who was the third person? Yeah.
That was me.
Would you like to do it? We can just all find it together.
I can share my observation.
Yes.
Would I need to share the situation as well?
You know, so this is, I think, no, you don't need to share the situation. And just to give a little brief thing, you know, nonviolent communication works on this thing of giraffe consciousness, which is connected to needs and values. And when we communicate from this space, giraffe doesn't need to share so much of the story and the detail. But jackal consciousness, which he likes to think in terms of good and bad and right and wrong, oh my gosh, he can't tell a story without backing it up with 1,000 other stories. But actually, it's not really necessary, because in terms of the trigger or where that enemy image gets formed, I think what I wanted to check with you is when you see, in fact, yeah, there's a big difference. When you just get the clear observation, it makes it so much simpler, because actually sometimes the story we have about what the other person is doing or who they are, and when we actually look at what the thing is, they can be in vastly different places. So yes, please go ahead and share your observation.
Yeah, my observation is that my friend called me by a nickname.
I love it. It's a perfect observation. Yeah, it's so simple. It can stimulate so many difficult feelings inside. We can be really angry, but at the root of it, they called you by your nickname. I love it. So, Charmaine, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're just going to all together, because Charmaine was sharing and she did a beautiful jackal thing of give her observation. And her observation, what was your observation, Charmaine?
So my housemate, we get along really well, but he's got 2 dogs and he isn't a walker, and he got the second dog, even though I told him not to get the
I'm going
second
to
dog.
pause you there, Charmaine. I'm going to
Yes.
pause you there. So you see, to find the observation, Jacqueline is going, well, it's the whole story. He did this and he did that and he done no. So what did or didn't your housemate do? Just
He
to
didn't.
become very,
Okay.
like, this is the beginning of separating stories
Yes.
that we build about the other being wrong, or even sometimes we turn it on ourselves, but separating from story just to find the clarity of what they do. So can you find just one thing, and it can be really difficult, but one thing that the other did or didn't do? They didn't take out the trash.
I feel like he's not taking responsibility
Yeah.
for
Perfect.
his things that he needs to take responsibility for.
Thank you. That's a beautiful, beautiful judgment. How does everyone see? Does everyone see that? Yeah? Can someone, like, here's the thing. Is anybody in the room any clearer to understanding what Charmaine's housemate has done or hasn't done?
No.
No.
Very little information that she's given. She's got a big story and it carries a lot of weight. And I'm sure it's putting a lot of conflict in the room with her and her housemate. And Charmaine, I'm not at all criticizing you. You will have very good reasons for your judgment. Yeah.
Yes.
But it's part of a story that's not creating togetherness. So let's try and give this room some idea. What is he doing or not doing that would make you say he's not pulling his weight?
He doesn't walk the dogs.
Beautiful. Is everyone in the room in agreement? Have we landed on a clear observation? I think so. He doesn't walk the dogs. How are you feeling?
Who, me?
Yes.
Well, it's been interesting because I haven't spoken to him about it because I don't want to create conflict because we live really well together. And I know that I'm judging him big time, but I'm like pulling my energy more and more away from him. And I'm actually feeling really frustrated. I don't know how to like resolve this thing without creating conflict between us and without, yeah. So it's been a bit of a tough one.
Okay, figuring out how to be honest about it. But
Yes.
my question actually was, how are you doing in this moment when you realize that there's a difference between the story, he's not pulling his weight, and the clear observation, oh, he's not walking the dogs. I'm curious about that. How is that moment for you?
It definitely makes it simpler.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I recognize that too, how things just, sometimes the story is very heavy and big, and when we get to the simplicity and the clarity of it, it's not that big, or something in our body settles as well because it's landed on reality. Like, oh,
Yes.
okay. And that is the non-controversial truth, okay? So, because if you had to go to him and say, hey, you're not pulling your weight, you got a good chance that he's not going to like that story you're putting on him and he's going to fight. But if you had to go to him and say, hey, I noticed you haven't walked the dogs in this last week, that whole message has that relaxed energy with it. It's a lot easier to connect to. Okay, so, and just curious, everybody, for the, like, getting to your clear observation, did you notice where the energy was in your body? Did you notice some shifts, or just keep noticing? You don't have to share. Okay, right, we're moving on to the next section. No, right, this is the next one. So just like Charmaine was like, had a whole story, and it's making her, it's changing how she's relating in her dynamic with her housemate. She's now starting to maybe pull back a little bit. Are you with me, everyone? Yeah. So if we start to have this kind of story in our mind build up about someone, we're basically trying to protect ourselves. We're trying to protect something. Something matters to us. It's not that we're horrible people and that's just who we are. We're ugly, judgmental people. No, let's be more compassionate with ourselves. Something is happening and stimulating, causing us to have these judgments about someone. So I'm going to ask the question, I want you to go into your breakout rooms and ask the question of what is being threatened? And for those of you that know nonviolent communication, you can rather say, what is the universal human need that wasn't being met? But basically, why am I judging? What am I wanting to protect? What is the value? What is the quality? Maybe it's something specific and concrete. And if it is, like I want to protect my child, something like that, try and look for the value beneath that as well. Seek the non-concrete, the abstract quality that you are trying to preserve, or that you have the sense that's being threatened by this thing that the other person is doing or not doing, and this person you've told a story. And then just notice when you consider this energy, you consider the quality that is being threatened or you want to care for, just notice where in your body you are feeling the energy now. Okay, so are there any questions? Do you need a demonstration? Like, let me just do a quick demo. So when I'll do the little boy actually, and like he whizzed past and I was like, oh, my field, my Scarborough. Okay, what's being threatened? I'm actually doing this in real live time, guys. I haven't actually connected this deeply with this. What's being threatened? Safety for me. I actually, because I was dancing, I do ballet on the field. And like I always used to do that and there was no one around watching. And now like, will you think I'm weird? Yeah, like I want to be able to belong and just be free in Scarborough. Yeah, so it's somehow like safety and being able to be myself, somehow belonging. That's the quality. Okay, so that's what you're gonna go do now. Okay, so off into breakout rooms. Let's just check the time. 22, 3 minutes, and I'm gonna try and put you in twos so you can yeah, I'll just see. Charmaine, I don't think you're there. Okay, so I'm sending you off. Okay, sorry. 2, 1. Okay, let's just see where we go. And if you land up with 1 in a room, I'll move you, okay? So Charmaine, I don't know where you are, but let's just see. I'm going to move you to Ola is alone in a room again. Kazi. Charmaine, you obviously maybe don't have the breakout room option. Okay?
I don't think so, because on my computer it immediately said join room 1 and my phone's not doing that. I'm not sure why.
Okay, so let's just bring you and Kazi. I'm going to bring Kazi back here and then, okay. Okay, Kaz.
Yes.
I'm going to put you with, or you, do you mind being in the room with myself and doing it here, or would you prefer to go to a private room?
That's fine.
Okay,
That's fine.
so let's just go. You and Charmaine work, and it's great. We can coach you as you go along.
Okay.
Okay. So who's going to go first?
So, Charmaine, you want to go first?
Okay, so sorry, the question was what's being threatened?
Yes. What are you protecting?
Okay, so I think it's like it's a big pattern in my life. I think the big thing is holding the weight of situations. Like I don't feel supported. Like I feel like I always have to carry the responsibility of, and this is a pattern in many relationships, especially around men in my life. Yeah, we have to carry the weight, and I would like to share the load. I don't want to be the mother always, or the responsible one always. Like, yeah, I think that's the big thing that's coming up for me.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
So what's the quality? Is it being supported?
Being supported, yeah, being supported, and being in co-creation.
Okay.
Like I say, this is with lots of masculine energies in my life, just being in co-creation and supportive relationship instead of having to hold the weights always of the responsibility. Yeah.
And where is the energy? Where
do I feel it in my
Yeah.
body? It's
Yes.
all top. It's hearts, throats, head. It's all on the top.
So really taking time just to feel it, like the quality of this energy you want to bring in. Just feeling it and naming it. Like support and co-creation. These are the qualities you're longing for. And as you connect to them, just notice where in your body you feel the energy of support and co-creation. Fusion, did you find clarity? How did you find it in the breakout rooms? And please just share openly, share honestly if you found it confusing, if you found it easy to connect to the values.
I could share.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I found it easy to actually, I think I sort of already identified in the exercise before, like why, you know, why I had this emotion to this situation. And so, yeah, I don't know if the two things that I identified are actual values, but I could share what they are.
Let's hear them.
So one is like feeling care from another. So like that person cares about me. Or in this particular situation, I felt they don't care about me, or that was so care. And then the other was like mattering. Do I matter to the other?
Oh, you're a complete natural.
I have done a little bit of NVC.
Oh, you've
I
done.
can't
Okay,
say,
good.
yeah.
Because you are naming beautiful needs, universal
Okay.
human needs, to matter and to care. So for
Mm.
those of you that don't know, I haven't spoken a lot about universal human needs here because it's a whole explanation. But nonviolent communication is basically founded on this principle of universal human needs, that beneath every single thing anybody says or does, so any judgment we make, any action we take, be it beautiful or harmful action, beneath it, what's motivating it at its core is a universal human need. Or as our good friend Richard said, universal harmony needs, because when these needs are met, then there is harmony when they're in the manifest space. So when we have an enemy image of someone, it's generally because at some level a universal human need or universal harmony need is not manifest. We are not experiencing it in that moment. And so the whole art of nonviolent communication is to take time to connect to the universal human or harmony need, the un. And Ola, you did that absolutely beautifully. To matter and care is on the list. And so this thing of taking you to find the value, once you've found the value or the quality, it's a very good chance you've landed either on a need or you're very close to the need, because you're starting to move away from the story of the mind into the heart space where the universal human needs flow through us. So yeah, so what I noticed was I didn't put enough emphasis. I regret not putting enough emphasis on, once you've identified that quality, to hold yourself there and really become present to it, so that you form an intimacy with these qualities. Because it's kind of like building the connection to this quality. And I really feel like this is the territory of manifestation, and manifestation in like a harmonious field. So that was, I regret, I didn't like really tell you to do that too much. There was a little bit on the slide, but I didn't emphasize it, to kind of really spend time, once you realize, Orla, like, oh, it's care, it's mattering, just to take a few minutes then, just to feel, connect to this quality. So you want to build an intimacy with it. You want to have a relationship with these qualities. But also, Sander, do you want to turn your mic off? But also, because if we connect to it very often, that's when a vision springs. So very often when you're connecting to this quality, that's when an idea of how to bring it into reality emerges. So we don't want to be up in the mind, like trying to like fix things and come up with strategies that maybe are not connected to the harmonious field. These universal human needs, they're really connected to a very harmonious grid. So if we can like manifest from that place and come up with our solutions connected to these needs, we create in a much more harmonious way. So that was what I didn't say. And the last thing I would like to say is what came up is I had two beautiful ladies, Charmaine and Kaz, who stayed in the main room, and we did this practice, and they had not chosen level 3. They had gone straight to level 7. They'd chosen really meaningful things that were real for them. And all I want to say about that is that if you choose something that's really alive for you and strong and connected with like a lot of awe and a lot of sadness, it takes more time. That's all. There is nothing that, I mean, I'm sure, Seferina, I want to share about you, but you would know this, that there is pretty much nothing that loving, present gaze and just being present to, without judgment, that doesn't, it soothes and melts away. And then you bring the universal human needs to it, and you're really going to start to feel an easing. Is there anything you want to say to that, Seferina? Do you have anything to add? And I've totally put you on the spot, so please don't feel like you have to.
No, I think you've covered it beautifully, Jackie. No.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So on to the final practice. So we're going to do the final step. So this is Marshall Rosenberg, who developed nonviolent communication. Enemy images are the main reason conflicts escalate. As soon as we think of the others as the enemy, we lose the ability to connect with their humanity. So we stop trying to see them as human. We stop trying to relate and think that their actions have got anything to do with us. And we now stop seeing them as human. And this is not just conflict, but this is how violence escalates. So on a very much more serious level, this is where punishment starts to enter in, and we all punish the people we love. I mean, I know I do. I don't talk to my kids, or I do something if I don't like them. But on a much more serious level, very serious harm happens when these enemy images grow within us. So now what we're going to do is so if the enemy image is the block to compassion, it's the thing that stops us seeing that the other is a human just like us, trying to meet a beautiful human need just like us. Then empathy, trying to connect to the other, is the antidote. It's our pathway back into compassion. It allows us to rehumanize those we have turned into enemies. So for Kaz and Charmaine, you probably are not ready to go to this step yet. Because this step happens, we can turn our gaze towards the other once we are in compassionate connection with our own universal human needs that matter to us. So once we have given ourselves enough empathy for our own pain, then we are ready. There's a natural actually turning our gaze. Once we've really given ourselves enough empathy, we don't even have to try, because we're actually such generous, beautiful human beings at our core. As soon as we've received enough empathy for pain, the heart naturally just turns towards the other in a compassionate gaze. But with the practice of NVC, we can, and I actually want to just name your work as well, Seferino, the compassionate mindful dialogue. I think they're quite similar in this way, that what we do is we make it a practice to turn our gaze towards the other and try and see the humanity in them and connect to what's motivating them. So the big thing about this, now this is beginning to make an empathy guess, okay? It's always a guess. This is really important. It's always a guess. We never know. The jackal always thinks he knows what's happening. I know what's wrong with you. You're just selfish. I know what's wrong with you. You're a terrorist. You're a racist. You're selfish. No. Giraffe always guesses because the intention is to connect. So you're going to turn your gaze towards now what the other person did, and you can try and just with a question in your heart, what might they be needing, or what might they be trying to protect? And yet again, just notice, where is the energy? What is happening inside of you when you start to connect to the universal? I can try and make a guess about what's happening in the life of the other. Okay, so I'm just going to do a tiny little demo. So for that little boy, so just you can see, so that little boy, and I'll turn my, he was just, to be honest, I think he was irritated that I was there too, actually, because I was like right in the pathway, and he was having so much fun whizzing up and down on his bicycle. I think he just wanted to like test his strength and be in the fresh and on his bicycle. Like, I think he was just full of life and full of aliveness and play and kind of the energy of creation. And the energy, when I think about it, yeah, it's really light. It's up here and it's really light. Okay, so that was a very mild example. Okay, if your example is a little bit more juicy than that, maybe a little bit more raw, you're going to, I mean, that was very light. You might have a little bit of a deeper experience. Charmaine and Kaz, you can stay in this room and we'll work together and just see what needs to happen. We're going to do 2 minutes each. Okay, it's not long, but you're going to have 2 minutes each. Go for it. Enjoy yourselves. And I would just like to, thank you, open up the space for comments and questions. So yeah, for anything you want to share, how was that? Did you manage to find compassion for the others? Did you find the universal human need? Yes. I can't see your name. I'm so sorry. If I get my glasses, I can figure out.
It's Pallavi. It's fine.
Pallavi, yes, Pallavi.
I enjoyed the exercise in being able to sort of like, guess at the other person's needs. And when I could do that, I could feel a certain degree of softening that I could feel in my body. At the same time, I couldn't completely empathize with that person in the sense I was still being my guarded self.
Yes.
So I can see his needs, and I felt like, yes, I could see that other person's needs and where they may be coming from. But I don't know if I could be completely compassionate because in that sense. And I'm really wondering, like, do you have something to suggest for that?
Well, I mean, I'm really curious about that. So do you feel that you received enough connection with your own needs, like what you went through, how they have impacted you, or what's being touched in you by their actions? This was the nickname, right? Hey?
Yes,
By the
yes,
nickname. Yeah.
yes.
So how is that space for you? Like, how much compassion and connection and holding of yourself have you given yourself? Because we've raced through this whole thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I think as you mentioned that maybe that's something I could do a little bit more of and work
Well,
with and
I'm
sit with
asking you
more of.
directly, like, how is it? Like, how do you
Yes.
feel? What was your need? How?
My need felt okay. So my needs were safety, value, respect, and no, I don't think I.
Safety, value, respect, yeah. Safety,
Yeah,
value,
no, I
respect.
don't.
And then his needs are? What are his needs?
His needs, connection, belonging.
Yeah. Okay, good. Safety,
Yeah.
value, respect, connection, belonging. We can have a very we can really like connect to these things quite intellectually almost. But yeah, I guess my suggestion for you would be like really connect, like safety, your needs first, like deeply be touched by the beauty of your own needs. And can you really hold yourself there? Be tender with yourself. And I'm imagining that the more you are able to hold yourself in tenderness, that will naturally just, you will feel a natural compassion for the other. That's my guess. Yeah.
Thank you so much for
If
that.
anyone wants to add something to that? Yeah.
Maybe I'll add something,
Yeah. Thank you.
Jacqueline.
Yeah.
Pallavi, sometimes what helps that support one move into that empathy is realizing that having empathy and compassion for the other person doesn't mean that you approve or agree or accept what they did. So those are two, and just having that distinction. So really connecting with what was important for them in their needs doesn't mean you condone or agree with their actions. So you can hold both of that.
So becoming clear. I don't like what they did, but I can support and have compassion for the universal human need or the why inside of their heart. And I can really not like what they did. Yeah, I mean, this is really... Okay, I'm going to share one more thing before we go. How much do we have? 4 minutes. No, I'm not going to. Actually, we're not going to have time. But it's, you know, I've had a gun pointed at me twice. And since those incidents, I have a very different relationship to safety than before. And this is in my body. So now if I walk out and I see people of color, my body starts to get afraid. I don't have an enemy image of them, but my body has some kind of, I need to actually go and get help for it. But I think what I'm trying to point to is that this is very deep work. It's very deep work. And I kind of feel we are entering into an era of telepathy, of the unified field, where we actually are sensing what's happening on the inside of others. It's actually what was formerly private and separate. These thoughts that we hold and we harbor, those were like formerly in our private territory. But as we enter into these more, I don't know what, but as the world like is changing form and we're entering into these spaces where actually telepathy is real, we're starting to realize that our hearts are picking up what others are thinking, our bodies are picking up that there's much more sensitive things happening, that actually these thoughts we are holding about ourselves and the other, they're not actually as private as we think. And this is the kind of the grid of collective consciousness that we are building together. So, I mean, I had a whole lot of quotes of Hitler and Mandela, and I had a few pictures to show you, but we've really run out of time. But the point is, it is very deep work. It is very deep work. And I'll share one more thing. You know, it's quite easy for me to say, yes, lean over and have compassion, like have compassion for their universal human need. But it is very difficult to do on the inside. But somehow it's very meaningful work. I think that's what a anti-ending. It was going to go somewhere, and it's going, but that's how we're ending, on the little. And I'll just end with one more slide that I really loved. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll show you that later. But I saw this the other day, and it just really spoke to me. The first to apologize is the bravest. Now, this is the both and, the either or, the paradox, because in NVC, we don't believe in apologies. That's a whole nother class. But there's some truth in here. The first to apologize is the bravest. The first to forgive is the strongest. The first to forget is the happiest. Yeah, I love that. Somehow it's a nice way to end. And just before we go, I just want to share that we've got the next free class. I don't like calling it the master class, but it's what do my salty tears know about softness? Yeah. Like this is a picture of it's called How Will I Hug You? And this is the result of enemy image thinking. And this is not about any side. This is what happens when enemy images we take our action on enemy imaging. And this picture makes me really sad. And I can go into anger or I can go into softness when I look at things that hurt. So yeah, our next class is a very beautiful practice called grieving. So what do my salty tears know about softness? And then the art of honest dialogue. So dear Charmaine and Kaz, I would so love you to join on the art of honest dialogue, because your questions of like how do we do it? How do we give more presence? How do we give empathy? We're going to cover these in a 2-day workshop happening at the end of this month. It's all the foundations of nonviolent communication. And yeah, we're going to give a lot of emphasis on giving ourselves empathy. And that empathy that we give ourselves just naturally flows to the other. Okay, so I'd love to have you join us on that. Mishka will send something out tomorrow. There'll be an early bird rate for you guys. I know we're out of time, so thank you so much. I want to say one other thing. Seferino is a beautiful brother. He does slightly different modality to me, but I feel like we're both supporting each other in this work of being, I don't know what you would call it, but compassionate listening, compassionate dialogue, conscious dialogue. We're going to be co-creating some kind of in-person thing for us. So just naming that. I don't know, Seferina, I want to just show that you're a brother in arms, in those kind of arms. And yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I'm going to stay behind for questions and answers if you want to stay behind. But thank you so much for joining. Your presence is meaningful and joyful.
Thanks, Jackie, and thanks everyone.
Thank you, Jackie. See you at the workshop.
See you. Oh, yay, good. Goodbye, Kate.
Thank you. Bye.
Jackie,